So I'm Joe. I'm VP of Data and Digital Analytics at a company called Electrocomponents. Quick show of hands, who's heard of Electrocomponents? Wow, okay, that's not a lot. So let me just tell you a little bit about the company. We're the world's leading distributor of electronics and maintenance products. We're in the FTSE 250. We've got two brands, RS Components and Allied. We made £1.5 million of revenue last year, and we're global. We've got about 6,000 staff all around the world. That's not the full story, because it gets exciting when we go through the history of the company. So RS Components is 80 years old, actually celebrating the 80th birthday this year. We started off as a print catalog business. 100% of revenue came from print. And as for many companies going through a transformation, we've now hitting around 70% of revenues coming from digital. New CEO came in a couple of years ago, new CFO, new management team. And what's that meant is the share price pretty much stable at around £2. Hit a low in September of £1.73. Well, the share price has been going up, and last week was hitting £7. So you would have made about 3.5, 4 times what you made. And we're now FTSE ranked 135, 3 years ago with 261. So we're going through a massive journey and transformation, and data is starting to be part of that. Just one last video. This is Richard Browning, who's an innovator using RS Components parts to make rockets to make him fly. Can't quite hear the audio, but it's pretty fascinating what he's done. For those that go on BBC Technology last week, he made the world record for man flying over water. There's a nice clip video there on BBC Technology. And this is just one example how RS Components and Electrocomponents are here to inspire engineers and innovators. So, moving on to disruption. And I'll start off first of all with disruption and innovation first, and then move to data. There's two kinds of things you can do in innovation. It's incremental. You can take the example of a Heinz tomato ketchup bottle, and you're making small changes to that to providing improvements. So another example would be candles. If you look at candles over time, you had your basic candle, and then you move to scented candles, you've got different color candles. That's incremental innovation. Disruptive innovation, however, is a bit more exciting. So it's your Ubers, your Amazons, Airbnbs. These are the ones that are the differentials. And then whether you talk about IoT, AI, robotics, 3D printing, everything from an innovation space is fueled by data, which takes us on to disruption in data. We never really heard of it. It's something that I feel is going to take us to the next era of data. So, based on the way that we talked about innovation, incremental and disruptive, well, there's incremental data, things you can do. And a good example is Spotify, the way they've delivered their Discover Weekly newsletter. So, for those that sign up to Spotify, every week you get a list of songs, artists, probably most of which you haven't heard of. They are using very, very advanced techniques and algorithms and recommendation engines to provide that service. That service has got better over the last 5 years. That's incremental. Probably not the best of examples timing-wise, but Netflix did a great job back in 2013. Again, a quick show of hands. Who knew that House of Cards was 100% driven by data? Okay, minority. So Netflix, back in 2013, they invested heavily on a product derived from data. They took all their data they had, viewing patterns, behaviors, customer data, and they plotted what actors, producers, directors, what genres, and what the theme of a show should be. They were so confident it would work, they didn't even pilot it. After 3 months, they recouped their $100 million investment and apart from the blip in the last few weeks, House of Cards have been doing pretty well. That is disruptive data. That is where you've created a data product 100% by data. So when we look at the components that make for incremental or disruptive, well, guess what? It's going to be people. It's going to be the talent, and I'll talk about this a little bit more, but it echoes some of the things the panel were talking about this morning. Technology, but less so than people. Processes, again, less so than people. Principles, less so than technology and processes. Behavior. Behavior is going to be key. And again, I'll talk about this a little bit more. So, when we talk about people, I guess I'm showing my age here, but in the last 20 years or so, in the data space, I've noticed a shift in the recruitment of good data talented people. And traditionally, you look for people who are subject matter experts. If you're a data engineer or a data scientist, data analyst, you look for people who've been data savvy in that space with the right technical skills, who can be team players. Well, it's changed the last 5 years. It's now about people who can tell stories, data storytellers. It's about building different personalities. It's not about building 10 data engineers with the same personas, the same Myers-Briggs. It's actually about bringing in a diverse set of data engineers, some introverts, some extroverts. And that is disruptive in the team, which will provide you disruptive data ideas. Passion and hunger. You don't want a team who leave at 5 o'clock, 5:30 on the dot. They've got to be passionate about what they do. And with the people, you've got to invest in the work environments. You've got to kill the 9 to 5, kill the wearing a suit, kill processes. You've got to get people to work from home. You've got to give them that flexibility and trust, because that's what opens up passion. That's what opens up the ability to do disruptive data. Technology. Personally, I'm technology agnostic, and that's the way we have to think. We cannot be wedged to any particular technology. Whether it's proven us well in the past, we've got to treat every technology on its own. Accessibility to data. That is the key when you have technology. How fast can you get your data in the right governed way? And proof of concept. Use technology in a way that you can spin up an environment in the cloud, try something, spin it down. Processes, or lack of. With data, there's sometimes you need precision. If you want to send an email, a targeted email to someone, you need precision, you need the right consents. Not for data disruption. You don't need processes. Kill the processes. Use it as a startup opportunity. Go in with that mindset that actually you've got to do things pretty fast. Principles. So this has changed over time as well. So, 10 years ago, we used to think of data being put into one repository. Put it all in. Put it all in Teradata. Put it all in Oracle. Whatever you want to put it in. It's changed. It's an ecosystem now. You don't put all your data in one place. You put it in multiple places. You call it data lakes, whatever you want to call it. As long as you've got clear principles around what data goes into where, it's an ecosystem. Well, guess what? I think it's changed. Portability of your data is the key now. It's around how fast you can move your data out of one system into another system if you need to. You do not want to spend 4 or 5 years doing a migration from one system to a new piece of technology that's taken you 4 years, and guess what? That technology's moved on. You want to have your data portable. And behaviors. So this is just as important as people. A lot of companies are going through big transformations. To do data disruption, you've got to be able to fail fast, learn, move on. Obviously failing isn't the main objective, but be prepared to fail fast. Continuous improvement. Always look to do better things, and that's almost like incremental, the incremental innovation I talked about. Courage, be brave, and probably things that are overlooked. We talk about being very customer-centric. This is actually key. Being very close to your customers, because customers' behaviors change. And if their behaviors change, the data products that you create for them, that you thought you were creating for them, will change. So you've got to be very close to your customers. And this is all under behaviors. So, a quick highlight of what we're doing at Electrocomponents on the disrupted data space. We've invested heavily in digital, probably in the last 3 years. We've done a great job there. Again, I'm not wedged to any particular technology, but we've invested heavily in the Adobe stack. And what's that given us the ability is to get answers to questions really fast. So in this example, in the space of around 37 seconds, we answer a question from one of our colleagues. We've got a private label called RS Pro. And the question was, how many products from within the RS Pro range have had the most page views but the least conversions in the UK region? And within 37 seconds, we get to an answer. And the key here is, that's digital data. Imagine having that power for all your data. All your data includes images, text, voice, structured data, unstructured data. Obviously, seconds is quite an aspiration, but to get to answers to questions within hours, and within days as well, that's pretty powerful. That will allow you to be able to come up with the ideas and have the data to back you up. If you cannot get answers to your questions fast, you will not be able to do data in a disruptive way. So these are some of the exciting things we're doing. We're playing with a really neat product called Domo. I've masked out the numbers, but it's a visualization tool and more, as the guys in Domos tell me. It's a proof of concept. We haven't committed, but we're looking to use it in a way to produce a data product in a disruptive way. I can't tell you more about that space. Now, I could have spent a few hours on Google Images and putting all the images there, but we are building a data ecosystem, and we are completely technology agnostic, which doesn't mean that we're signing up to every technology, but we're cherry picking the ones that we feel will meet our business needs, which basically means we're playing around with everything and everything. So the journey that we're going is we're looking at data to be a corporate asset, as many companies are going through that same journey. It's been seen as a nuisance in the past at Electrocomponents. We're moving it to be an asset in the same way that we've treated digital data and the speed of execution and the accessibility. We're doing that for the whole of our data sets, so that we can make decisions pretty fast, and then we can go into that disruptive mode and understand our customers better. So that was quick. Before I end, one last thought. You would have seen, for those who read The Economist, in the May edition, the world's most valuable resource, according to The Economist, is data. The BBC have since contradicted that in some ways, or challenged that to say, actually, oil supplies are going down, data supplies can only go up. Data is a great asset. It's not just a great corporate asset, it will be a great asset to the world. But in saying that, I found a nice quote on one of my LinkedIn feeds, and I'll just read it out for the guys who can't read it in the back. Big data is like teenage sex. Everyone talks about it. Nobody knows how to do it. Everyone thinks everyone else is doing it, so everyone claims they're doing it. According to Gartner, about 56% of companies who think they're doing something with data actually aren't. So in my eyes, if we think 56% of companies aren't really doing anything with data, we're never going to get to that data disruption that I talk about. And I think the next era, like I mentioned, for us to be in is in this disruptive era where we're producing data ideas and products for customers. That's pretty quick. We've got some time for some questions. Nope. Don't be shy.
Basically, two questions. One, you said your company is price has gone rapidly high. Is your IT team expanded over the time since your price gone up? And do you advise to buy your price?
So the company's going through a big change in the last 3 years. It's not to do specifically around any one particular thing, but with a new CEO and management team coming in and a new very clear strategy, that has helped cement a roadmap. So there's a lot of things happening. There's a digital transformation, there's a business change, there's a technology investment, there's data investment. All those things together have helped, as well as some other external factors. So electronics industry is going through a boom at the moment, so we're riding that wave. But generally it's because of a transformation within the company.
Thanks, Joe. Presumably you have a team of data scientists or similar skills on board. How big is that team? What sort of skill sets do you have?
So we don't have a team of data scientists. We've got people who are doing some data analysis. They're not data scientists. We're probably in the embryonic journey of using our data in an advanced way. So we are building that up now. On the digital space, we have a lot of very talented digital analytics. We're not doing advanced insights because we're not hooking into all the data streams that we should do.
Can you talk more about how you, in your company, how you started using data in your company, in the processes and stuff?
Sure. So, you know, the way that you're going to really exploit your data, whether it's incremental or disruptive, is you're connecting relevant streams of data together, and you get that point of confluence. That's how you exploit your data. If you've got disparate sets of data all over the place, you're not going to have the chance to connect them. So you're not going to get that point of confluence. So the journey that we're at is we have one-dimensionally our data very ring-fenced, and that's our digital data around the way that we capture visits on the websites using Adobe. All the other streams of data are disparate. So we are in that journey to build an ecosystem that will allow us to connect, allow us to do advanced insights, machine learning, and some of the things that actually we probably should have done years ago.
Most companies tell a story that is you needed the technology and you also needed a culture change. For a company that's 80 years old, was a sort of culture shift a problem?
It will always be a problem because you're moving quite rapidly from a print catalog business to a digital business, and you will never get everyone on that journey. So it's a constant evolution. And then in the same way that you're trying to move people on that journey, you're trying to move your technology that may be not quite 80 years old, but kind of legacy on that same journey. So it's a constant battle. You never kind of win. One last one.
I wonder if you could say a little bit about the tools that you've selected that you put up there, that one slide. Obviously out there, there is an ocean of available tools. How did you make the decision on the ones to go with?
Yeah, so like I said, proof of concepts. We spin up proof of concepts in about a week or two, tops. Anything longer than that is pretty long. We've got a very clear outcome that we want from those proof of concepts. And if it passes, we then take it to the next stage. You know, there's a lot of really, really smart technologies out there. Some here, not all. And the only way you really get in touch with them is to find some real relevant use cases and to go for it. Just try a proof of concept. You know, you don't have to spend a hell of a lot of money or time doing it. You just have to get the right people in the right place. Because something that may work for electro components as a B2B business may not work for a consumer business. So don't think that a Tableau or a Domo or a Click will work for us means it will work for you guys. Good. Any last questions? No? Thank you for your time. Yeah.